Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh. And today I am joined with Willow and Janys of Body Void. Willow and Janys, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. So, Body Void, you have a new record coming out off of Prosthetic next week. How excited are you? What has this lead up been for you two personally?
I'm really excited. It's been like, how many months has it been? Like 6 months since we finished the record? Something like that.
Right about there, yeah.
Maybe is that it's almost been 8 months actually, now that I'm thinking about it. So
Uh,
yeah, it feels like a long time coming. We played the songs a lot live in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we've like been like playing the songs. So it feels like almost like past time for people to hear them on the record. So I'm really excited.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't exactly feel old yet, but they don't feel as new anymore.
No. They feel like, yeah, that I mean, playing those songs has made them feel like more like Body Void songs than they did at the beginning, for
Sure.
sure.
What's it like to live on a record in limbo? You know it's done, you know the songs are written, it just has to go through the final production process and the final promotion process. Like what is that like?
It's it's weird because like your instinct, I mean, like when you finish the album, when you like finish the masters,
Mhm.
you want to just like put it out there. You just want to get it out, but it is like hurry up and wait kind of thing. And the longer we've been a band, the more it feels like the more time we have to wait, just because like we've gotten to a bigger kind of like more professional, if you want to call it that,
Mm-hmm.
level. And working with like labels that have these long release calendars, and then also you have to press it on vinyl, which is like not as bad as it was during the pandemic, but it's still like a 6 months process at least.
Mm-hmm. I've heard the
So
story.
yeah, so like it is. I don't think it's like frustrating. I think I've gotten used to it now, but it is like you are just kind of sitting on your hands, like, let's go.
Well, you're
It's
an
Um,
artist who made art. You want to share the art. That's just
yeah,
natural. It's an instinct.
right.
yeah,
And you kind of have to give like the promotion process time too. So you're just
Yeah.
like, it's fine. We're just
yeah,
we're just gonna edge for the next 6 months.
Well, you have one more week to
yeah,
wait.
It's
yeah. It's
so
so
close
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
here.
Well, this is album studio record number four for you following Bury Me Beneath This Rotting Earth. And what I noticed as I listened to Atrocity Machine in comparison to your earlier output is there's more of this emphasis on like harsh electronics and noise combined with, your sludge, your doom metal. Was there something conscious that led you in this direction, or was it just kind of messing around and this is what came out and you're like, let's go for it?
No, it was very conscious. And it's like even before Janys joined the band, like it's something I've wanted to do is like
Mhm.
combine sludge and sort of heavy electronics. And then Janys joined for the last record, doing power electronics. And so that kind of introduced this notion of like maybe we can kind of like add this like more harsh texture on top of everything.
Mhm.
And then working with Ben Greenberg, who produced the album, like that's kind of like his background is doing like more electronic stuff.
He fucking
Like
gets
you Yeah, like Uniform is like an industrial kind of punk band. And so like we were like, all right, let's do like him coming on board. It was like, all right, it's time to like do that kind of more electronic album. And so yeah, we really just kind of were like, let's do it for real now. Um and yeah, it was conscious, but it was still like it was something that we kind of had to like relearn how to write some of the songs. And so it wasn't just like let's write the songs and put everything, all this electronic stuff on top of the songs. It was like, all right, we have to like figure out how this actually works. So yeah, it was a learning experience, but I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Mhm. You're not the only metal band that has combined those things, but it still isn't the most common everyday thing for a metal band to combine those elements, which is some kind of actually surprises me considering like the underground electronic and rave scene and the underground metal scene shares kind of a lot of similar ethos and aesthetics. Like there could be a crossover between those two scenes. And you think those two kind of approaches would kind of join together more often.
Yeah. Go ahead, Janys.
That's all I have.
Oh, okay. No, I mean there's like a decent amount of industrial metal. Like I love Godflesh. I love Skinny Puppy, but I don't think we necessarily wanted to do what those bands are doing. Like I was really influenced by a lot of like death industrial stuff or kind of like noise like Wolf Eyes and bringing those textures over to what we had already been doing, which is kind of more slow, more noisy to begin with. So like figuring out how to incorporate that stuff into like a slower type of metal it felt a little bit like we didn't really have many people to look to in terms of like metal in general.
Totally. I mean, I like as far as like the electronics end goes, it's like I'm more like a harsh noise person.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I guess the closest it really comes is like I do like a little I do like Indian. But I also like I'm more like the 3-1-G camp, like pretty much any Justin Pearson project, but specifically like that final fucking Locust record.
Mm-hmm.
Uh it's like that's the kind of fucking like chaos I want to put around music, you know what I mean? Not that noise and electronics aren't music, but like
Yeah.
the way it like by that record, it felt like it was just part of the textural like landscape
Mm-hmm.
rather than just a thing wedged into a punk band, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, like one thing we didn't want to do is just kind of like what I think a lot of sort of non-industrial metal bands do with electronics is just kind of like throw it on top of what's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what we did on the last record. Like we just added this layer of harsh electronics, but this we wanted to do like something that was more rhythmically and melodically involved. So it was like figuring out how the synths would actually play like a more uh like kind of like writing like riffs for the synth and then writing the rest of the song around that versus just like, oh, it's in the background, you can barely hear it, whatever, that
Right.
kind of thing.
Or a lot of bands will throw in like a synthesizer as kind of like a flavor touch, but it's never like fully like integrated. Like it's not like
Yeah.
part of the track's DNA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned this a little before we hit record, but I did see your band. I think last year
Mhm.
playing with Primitive Man in St. Paul at the Turf Club, and what I noticed is that you kind of project this anxiety, this despair, this darkness. How do you get these emotions? How do you tap into these feelings both in your recording and your live performances?
For me, it's just that I wake up in the morning.
This is
And that is
that's actually a good answer. This is who I am. No, but like uh I think live it is just kind of the nature of the music being so slow and like so and just the screaming like you're sort of like and then what we kind of like one of the mantras for this band is just like as dark as possible. Like we all have projects that we do that can be more melodic and more kind of pop leaning if we even want to go there. But this project is just complete despair, just complete black hole, heavy, terrifying kind of thing. And so that's always so we like we never want to stray into that more kind of accessible or more like happy kind of realm. So it is just like the nature of it.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was like, yeah, we have other outlets for that. So like dump those feels here.
Yeah. It's kind of like the outlet for the angry, despairing, anxious kind of feelings for sure.
Yeah.
Which is something that metal is very, very good for doing. And it's kind of like a lot of people are drawn to the genre.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, before we get too much deeper into this interview, I just kind of wanted to say on my own terms that as a metal YouTuber who is a trans person, something that there isn't a ton of, it does mean a lot to see a band like yours that's so outspoken for like queer and trans inclusion and acceptance within the metal scene. It's just really fucking cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. One of the first singles for Atrocity Machine was a song called Cop Show. And reading the lyrics for that, it's very clear where your band stands on a lot of things. You know, you're a band that opposes oppressive systems. What, if any, are kind of what is the primary message that you want the listeners to walk away from, if it is even possible to kind of consolidate it like that?
It's like I think for this record, like it is that like I think going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, it is like that outlet for despair and anxiety, and specifically in this case, living in the US, like dealing with these systems of oppression. And I don't know if there's like a message in that sense, but there is a sense of I like it is just purely like a visceral and like emotional outlet for um that anxiety and living beneath like in these oppressive systems. And so I don't know if that's like comforting to the listener or like it's I think I guess I hope if someone listening to it will feel like less like they're not going crazy by living like in this country, and that we're actually like trying to speak to it and like give it a voice in a sense. But I wouldn't say there's like a message in that way.
It's as it I'll go for it.
Process of getting it out there.
Yeah.
It's as if this anxiety that you are projecting on stage is you living in this system, this country, and just kind of sucking it in and just like, wow, it's so fucked up, and you're like feeling kind of like, well, this is what it's doing to me on the inside.
Yeah, like I think if I didn't have the outlet of Body Void to get those feelings out, I would go crazy. You know what I mean? Like and be more just having these feelings stay inside. It's like I think that's like what art is about, is like just having a way to get those feelings out so they don't kill you. And I don't know, like I think that's up for the listener to decide like whether that's of value to them personally. I mean, I think a lot of people are gonna come to the album and just be like, oh, it has riffs, you know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be super like meaningful in that way. I think whatever way they interact with it is like valid, but like just as the writer, it's like with Atrocity Machine, like we just wanted to get this feeling of like shit, like it feels like you're going crazy living in this country, living with all these things going on. Like let's put that to tape and not just have that feeling go unsaid, or that kind of thing.
I did see on your band's Twitter you said whenever I get asked about the album, my answer is, and it was a meme that just said capitalism, and I I was like,
Yeah.
is that what they're gonna say? Like, I'm still gonna ask it, but I'm kind of expecting where that's gonna go. So
Yeah, I mean, it's my own fault. I mean, that's what I write about.
yeah,
I mean, that's what the Atrocity Machine is like American capitalism.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it is kind of, but I do sometimes feel, especially in a interview context, like a little bit of a broken like drum or whatever. Just like keep hammering away at that, just capitalism, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But hopefully like with the music itself, we get a little bit more specific with it than that.
Well, switching gears a little, I saw on your socials, you've been talking. You talked a little bit about the recent sale of Bandcamp from Epic Games to Song Trader. An important context for those that might know, the Bandcamp workers have recently unionized. So I was hoping and wondering if you'd be willing to just kind of share with my audience why you feel the need to speak about this and why it is such a shitty thing that a lot of people in underground music communities are talking about a lot right now.
I mean, it's just scary how much depends on Bandcamp. Like,
Hmm.
if it went away, like, it's just weird to think, like, fuck, that's it. Like, that's basically our livelihood. Where all
Yeah.
that's left is fucking Spotify. And yeah, I mean, I don't know all the details as far, I guess no one does yet, of like what the sale is gonna look like, or like what is gonna happen to the Bandcamp union, or
Hmm.
all those details. But just like that sale made like, I mean, it's just the nature of being so beholden to these massive conglomerates in this country, is like we don't have anything in music as far as making this money that Bandcamp provides. We have nothing to fall back on. There's no
Hmm.
alternative. It's the only like thing on the internet that allows people to pay, more than a few cents a stream or whatever.
Right.
And that's like so it's just so weird. Like
Sure.
I don't know. It sucks.
We have
Um
this like cultural social tendency to let like one entity become the source for something
Oh yeah.
because we just want the convenience of like, yeah, we just all go to the same place. You just kind of like let it happen. And then all of a sudden one day it's like, man, I hate Meta. I hate Mark Zuckerberg. And also like if that thing completely fucking disappeared, like I promote music for a living, my life would be a dumpster fire overnight.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's like I fucking hate this thing and yet I'm so dependent on it that like I don't know what I would do if it just was gone. As much as I'm like angry at it and see all of the corruption within it. Um, I don't know. I feel like Bandcamp
yeah,
historically been better as a company, but it still feels like all the eggs in one basket, you know?
Mhm. So
yeah, and
many other
it's
bands also depend on it. Like it's just definitely like it's just like the whole scene is like kind of built it on Bandcamp, which
Sure.
maybe we need to have more alternatives just in case. But the reality is like it exists on there, and it is like a lifeline for a lot of bands right now.
Sure.
yeah, I think we're still like sort of unpacking like what it means to be so, like, in the age of like internet consumption, like what it means to be so dependent, like y'all said, like putting everything in, like just having one of everything.
Mhm.
And like when you think about the alternative, like there being like as we're seeing now with like Twitter kind of like,
Yeah.
crumbling, and like
Yeah.
these other sites coming, like popping up, it's like I've gone to Blue Sky and I'm like, this is definitely better, but also it just sucks to have to like go to another company to find that outlet. It's like,
Yeah.
we don't like in the internet is so belongs to these conglomerates and just like rich people, like venture capitalists, that you're like, man, it just sucks that this is like the life we live now. And it does go back to that meme of just like capitalism, you know what I mean? Like, uh so I don't know. And like it's difficult to even know like what a more like, I don't even know what the word would be, like a democratized internet would look like. Like it used to be that, and I don't necessarily want to go back to that. So what is the future? What should we be building in that space? Should we be building anything? I don't know. And like Bandcamp is a perfect like
Hmm.
focal point for this, is like, should we be building something else? What does it look like for like musicians to unionize? Um, all that kind of thing. And I don't know the answer.
And I've talked to about this with other bands, but the thing about Bandcamp is it gives artists so much power. It really allows anybody to if put ideas out there, even if they don't have like a bigger company backing it. They can get the attention of maybe of a bigger label, but you don't need that to have as full access to the abilities to just have your music be heard and have people give money for it. And it's one of the only things that kind of is so artist first. And if it gets into, I feel like if a Bandcamp does get in the wrong hands, what you're risking is people who just don't care about that concept, which is a lot of people who have a lot of money don't really care what some DIY bands want to do
Right.
with their music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. I mean, yeah. Who knows what it's gonna like? Who knows if I hope the editorial side of Bandcamp doesn't go away, because I think that side of things is doing really good work.
Hmm.
And I think like so much of what makes Bandcamp great, like seeing that go away, like I keep saying, like there's just no alternative. So yeah, it's scary.
Hmm. Well, talking about you again, you're a band, albeit by a different name, was a band that started out around 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Did you think when you started this band back then that you'd still be touring, almost 10 years later and putting out records? And what were your initial expectations for Body Void?
Yeah, definitely not to be still doing it almost 10 years later. Um, like we had a different basis back then. So to imagine Janys being part of it is like even like a trip. Uh, because Janys was like someone we knew from touring through Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah.
And then, that development has become, I think Janys fits so well with the band.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, we're like all uh in different parts of the country too, so to be able to still be able to tour and like not all live together in the same state even is like a trip, because we started the band in San Francisco, and to even be still doing it while I live in Vermont now, and the drummer lives in Vermont. um to even be still doing it having like moved across the country is crazy. So yeah, just completely surprised and grateful for that.
Hmm. How do you feel you may have evolved since, Devoid's inception?
Um, I think just musically, we've gotten heavier and
Hmm.
more complex. Um, I think we've just gotten better as a band. And doing something that isn't kind of, I think when we first started, if we were doing our own thing, it was still kind of in the vein of a lot of other bands, and we've
Hmm.
sort of staked our own. I think we have our own like world, or like our own sound that we're working with, which is fun. Um, yeah, so it's like this band would not have gotten where it is without that kind of 10 years experience. And then like even uh asking Janys to do noise for the last record. Like, I don't think that would have happened just, a band starting out. Like, the band is so beholden to just being that old and having the room to evolve and stuff. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and you definitely, I feel like, I mean, have carved out a unique sound. There are plenty of sludge bands out there, but like I think you have a particularly um harrowing and kind of a frightening take on it. I did look at what like Metal Archives had tagged on similar artists for you, and it wasn't that long of a list. I think like Thou was on there and like Vile
Sure.
Creature, but like it is, yeah. I do think like yeah, there's definitely kind of something that you have tapped into over 10 years that does differentiate you from the pack of doom and sludge bands. So
Yeah, it felt like, especially on Atrocity Machine, it felt like, okay, we're not like there's no one else that I really feel uh I don't see I don't like automatically compare us to other bands as much
mhm.
as maybe I did on older albums, which is nice because I don't like comparing us to other bands. I like being able to
Mhm.
just kind of be like, all right, we're doing our own thing. We can kind of go off and do our own thing. Like, it feels nice.
Just remember telling people that we were like primitive ma'am.
Yeah, yeah. Uh primitive sissy.
Yeah.
Um yeah.
uh,
I mean, yeah, I that's Primitive Man. We owe a lot to Primitive Man in more
Definitely.
ways than just sound. Like, they're the homies for sure.
yeah, they're a fantastic band.
Yeah.
I think the vocalist too has a grindcore band named Vermin Womb. That's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah,
Yeah. They're great.
Mean
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a tour coming up. You have a couple tours in a way. I think you have your
Yeah.
headlining tour and then a tour with another band. And this is something you've done before. This is not your first tour, so I want to know what is a go-to on the road meal or pit stop for you? Like, do you have in mind? Oh, we go to this city. We have to stop here.
Subway is the safe word.
So, a lot of Subway.
Yeah.
Uh
There's a turning point about halfway through the tour where I become a whiny little baby and I'm like, I'm gonna hang myself in the van if we go to Subway again.
I'm actually there
And then we
too.
go to Subway again and I'm fine.
Yeah. But I like going to all the regional like convenience stores, like
Fucking
uh
Wawa.
yeah, Wawa. What's the one in the uh the one, it's in the Northwest. It's like Idaho, maybe
Oh,
Utah.
Maverick.
Yeah, Maverick is
I can
pretty
get my hands
good.
on some Xanax. We can go to Bucky's.
Yeah, Bucky's. Oh, Bucky's is like the
What if fucking 7-Eleven was a goddamn super Walmart?
yeah,
It's fucking panic
exactly.
attack land.
Um um Cookout is like a
I
go-to. Like, if
Yeah.
we're in the South, we have to go to Cookout.
was
But it's gonna oh, go ahead.
we got a bouncer at work who he's from North Carolina. And I was like, yeah, we're playing the fucking pinhook this tour. And he's like, are you gonna go to Cookout? I'm like, yeah. Like,
Yes,
I don't
we
miss much
are.
about home, but I miss fucking Cookout. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
The rest of
interesting.
the
We
country could learn about fast food from Cookout.
agreed. You can basically get everything on the menu, and it's not too difficult in like one go.
Yeah.
Um,
But like it's seven
but
bucks. You're like, what?
we we actually have a vegetarian on this next tour because we're going out as a four piece.
Yep.
And so that's gonna be interesting. Probably a lot more Taco Bell, I'm imagining.
I will pack some kale chips. I'm good at
Yeah.
chips.
What's your Taco Bell order? I have to ask.
Um, I'd usually get a quesadilla or a bean burrito, and I get the Cinnabon bites. Those are Clutch. Those are
Yeah.
amazing.
So I grew up I grew up a value menu kid. So I
Okay.
still have this ingrained in me that I'm like, how do I make it cost $5 or less? So whatever stupid dollar burrito they have, I've been like prepping for this tour by eating the fucking chicken enchilada burrito once to
Well,
ready my post midnight digestive habits.
Yeah.
there's no Taco Bell near where I live. Like the closest one is probably an hour away. So
You're off.
yeah, so tour is like the chance to really indulge for sure.
Oh, I'm lucky. I live in Minneapolis, and they are everywhere here. There's one just like right down the street over there.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm a vegetarian too. But Taco Bell's good for that, and I get the spicy potato soft taco. Like that is good
Ooh,
stuff. The sauce.
sounds good.
Also, I tend to ask bands way more about food than most metal YouTubers, so sorry about that.
No,
uh
it's important for sure.
yes.
He's one of my
You think
top
a
tier.
lot about it on tour.
I am known to talk about pancakes a lot on my show because I love pancakes. It is a passion of mine. When I go to a different city, I am always looking where do I get the best pancakes in your city? Bring me your pancakes.
Yeah, that's a good mission to have.
Yeah.
I'm
I
like
am
that with French toast, basically.
Eggs Benedict.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The first tour I ever went on, I made the discovery that if I start the day with an Eggs Benedict and a mimosa, uh, the day is just infinitely better. Like I've had the happiest point I could possibly have in life already. So no matter what happens, I'll be able to weather it because A, I've already done that happy thing, and B, I know I'm doing it first thing in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah. It sucks because like a lot of times we don't have like one of the best things about tour is like having time to just like sit down and enjoy breakfast.
Hmm.
Fully.
And like a lot of times you don't have that time, but like when you do, it's like so luxurious feeling, even if it's
Yeah.
like some shitty diner, like it is the best.
It's a day
Okay,
spa for the mind.
shitty diners are. I work in coffee, and I know good coffee, and I know good breakfast, but shitty diners are they're great on a different curve. Like the
Oh yeah.
shittiness is almost part of the charm. Like it can never actually be a shitty diner because almost like the shittier it is, the more enchanting it is in a way. Like it's a weird it's a weird juxtaposition. Like it's just like that, but I like when diners are just greasy and
Yeah.
it's the best.
It's like taquerias are a similar thing.
Yeah.
Like when you hit the shittiest like fast food taqueria, it or like just burrito place, it is usually going to be amazing. So yeah.
A 4 a.m. breakfast burrito. Oof.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
convinced like Arizona is the best place to get uh like a
I
burrito
knew I
for
won you
sure.
over.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I look forward to
Shit,
Mhm.
yeah.
it.
Well, if you next time you come to Minnesota and you need recommendations for shitty food, I can definitely point you in the right direction. So hit me
Hell
up.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Uh,
love Minneapolis, by the way. It's like one of my favorite places in the country and one of my favorite places. Every time we've played there, it's been like amazing. It's like sold out or something, you know?
yeah, no, there are people like their metal up here.
Yeah.
Uh, on a more serious note, on the same topic, what is the best part of getting to play your music live? Is it this like connection to your audience? What is it that kind of like this is great. This is what I want to do.
Um, yeah, for me, like the more we tour, the more it is very much about like how the audience responds to it. Like if an audience is really into it, uh, and then the band gets really into it, like I don't know, there's nothing better than that feeling of like really kind of being uh sort of like have that connection, if you want to call it, or just like really vibing off the audience. And then on the flip side, when it's not there, it's like like it you struggle basically.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Like on stage, it's like when things are actually like lining up and connecting, and you're getting that energy back from the crowd, it's kind of like the one place in life where like I can like just let go and
Mhm.
just kind of ride the ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because I don't know about y'all, but like my life is busy in a way where like I'm always thinking about 5 minutes from now at pretty much at all times.
Mhm.
Like playing live is like the one escape from that, really.
It's
Um,
like
even
the
on
only
tour,
time you get
I
to
have
live
to work on the
in the
road.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Be present right now.
Yeah.
Are you a band that enjoys like after a show when you're at the merch booth, just getting to talk to audience, getting to kind of have that interaction afterwards?
Willow's smiling already.
Well, that's one reason I'm glad Janys joined the band, because they are super happy to do that, and I super am like, I need to go hide and like
I
press.
I am a double Leo. Uh,
Yeah.
I am like, yeah, I don't care how good it felt up there. Come over here and tell me how cool I am, because I need it or I'll die.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, and I'm like a social introvert switch. So I need
Sure.
that like that 20 minutes to half an hour of just broing down, fucking, like just getting kind of love bombed by a bunch of people, and like,
Mm.
you know, catching up with the few friends in every city, and then like escaping that and having quiet. But like, yeah, no, I the merch booth is like my spot.
Mhm.
Yeah. And it's cool too, because then I can ask Janys like, did people like the show or whatever, and I don't have to actually like
Right.
experience
We'll have
the
like
the,
Yeah.
the
we'll
social
cross
awkwardness
paths later,
myself.
and Willow's like, that show sucked. And I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
like for whatever reason they had a bad night, and I'm like, dude, that crowd fucking loves us. And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But usually, like right after a set, I'll need to like really kind of just take uh 20 minutes to really kind of decompress and cool down, and like, and then if the show's bad, maybe even just like leave the venue for a while.
Like,
But if it goes well, even if it goes well, it's like, all right, I need to like get away from people for a minute, and then I'm good to go.
Do you think it did so does it like vary in terms of what you consider to be a good and bad show, like night to night, like you will rank on a tour like these were our good stops and these were our bad stops?
Oh, absolutely. Like,
Hmm.
and a lot of times it is like, how did we play? Were we like in sync? And if I think we are becoming more consistent, which is nice. But like we did a tour with Zayo, which was really cool because Zayo is amazing and everybody on that tour was amazing. But it was interesting because we were playing in front of audiences that were like maybe not the biggest fans of doom metal. So we were kind of like not we were kind of like eating shit every night, like playing in front of people who were just kind of politely, paying
Yeah.
attention. Um, so like that is tough. Like that takes a toll. And then on the flip side, again, like there's like Seattle and Bend, Oregon, like showed the fuck up and were like ready to party, and that felt so fucking good. Um, so yeah, it's a toss up, and you never know how it's gonna go. But when people show up, it's the best.
Is being an opener harder than being the headliner on a tour?
Sometimes the headliner it is like it feels like you have the pressure of the show on your shoulders a little bit.
Hmm.
So being the opener is nice in that you're just like there to kind of do your thing, and then if people aren't happy with it, they're not going to remember. So
Right.
like if so but like on like opening for Primitive Man or something, like it that I like that spot because Primitive Man is a band I look up to and respect, and I don't feel like we're like we're in a weird opener spot.
Hmm.
Um so I don't know. It depends. I think we're becoming more like we did like a short headlining tour at the beginning of this year, and that was really fun because every night you get to play with different bands, and it's fun to see local bands. And people showed up for that tour. So if you're a headliner and people are showing up, that can be super fun. But if you're a headliner and people aren't showing up, that sucks. Like that is demoralizing for sure.
I've always wondered what it felt because I've been to shows like this where people seem to come for the opener, and then by the time the headliner comes in, like the room has cleared out. Like that has to be a weird experience.
Yeah, it's the strangest. Also, sometimes that's just like, I don't want to say not intelligent pairings, but like a pairing that like maybe when you first booked this tour, that first band was not at the point that they're at by the time the tour happens, or like someone kind of blows up overnight. And it's like, it's rad to see, but it definitely like kind of fucks up the whole dynamic of the tour. But that can't be controlled really, you know?
No. There's something you just can't predict.
And we went out on like a 4-band tour. And sometimes there'd be a local opener. And so then there's 5 bands on the show. And like, yeah, by the time the headliner goes on, it's so late that a lot of people have just left.
Yeah.
And
some cities are like, it's done at 11, whether it is or not.
Yeah. It really depends on the city and the day of the week, or, you know, that kind of thing. And then, sometimes like you have, like Janys was saying, you have a pairing or you have a lineup where like a band is big in the death metal scene. And so everyone shows up for the death metal band that's third in the lineup. And then the headliner is probably like the quote unquote bigger band, but just like that audience came for another band, you know? So it's weird.
Or like there is like a niche that typically like would be more for an opening act to play, but for some reason that niche sound does really well in a certain city for whatever reason. They have a scene built around it.
Sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, your band is one that seems to share and react to a lot of new music on social. So I got to ask, what are some of your favorite metal releases that have come out this year? I know that's kind of a hard question to try to narrow down, but do you have some highlights?
I definitely do. I'm gonna look at my music right now to remind myself.
Yeah.
I really like that. I really like that Spring album that just came out. That's not really, you know, strictly metal, but it's definitely one of the heaviest things I've heard. That new Agriculture record is really good.
I was gonna say that.
Sorry, Janys.
No, you're good. You're good.
It came out earlier in the year, but that Primitive Man Full of Hell collab is really good. I like the new Godflesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else came out?
Uniform Chorus record is fucking rad.
Oh yeah.
Really I've been listening to the new Def Club album pretty much back to back to back to back. Not exactly metal, but I don't know, you know, I don't know where to put that band exactly.
Yeah.
But they're up there.
New Ken Mode is really good.
Oh yeah.
New Tomb Mold is really good.
I had two more on the show a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that record is fantastic.
That's what's
I saw you tweet about the new Connate when that came out. Yeah.
I could forget that. Yeah.
That one just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Their first record in like 13 years or something. Or probably even longer than that. But yeah.
Yeah.
I still haven't got through it. I actually I've tried to sit down with it a couple of times and like I'll get distracted or I'll just like not be in the headspace. And I'm like, you're making me feel so ill right now. And I'm like, yeah, it's a good trait for a record to have, but I'm not in the place for it.
Yeah. It is so unlike anything else. Like, even for them, I mean, it's still in the vein of what they've always done, but it's even more like minimal and just basically a guy in a room, like kind of yelling. That's like the vibe about spiders, basically. And you're like, damn. This is rough.
And I'm like, tell me more about the spiders. I want to keep
Right.
hearing about the spiders.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great
Uh,
though.
I love the new Hell Ripper. Obviously the new
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Tumo. Yeah, Hell Ripper, black and thrash. I think is starting to really blow up. I highly recommend it. New Smolder is really good.
Oh yeah. They're like power metal, right? Is that right?
They're like a kind of like a very epic kind of medieval heavy metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they are they like wizards and like that kind of metal, like wizard metal?
I love a good wizard.
I do love a
Uh
good wizard metal.
I love good wizard metal. Uh Kinda. I would say Smolder is more of knight fighting a dragon metal. Like there is
Okay.
kind of a difference between that and wizard metal.
There is a distinction for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I also want to shout out the new there's like two records that I love that I haven't seen a ton of people talking about, which is the new 8 Hour Animal record and the new Uranium record. They're both like kind of industrial, kind of noise.
hmm
On Sentient Ruin Records. And that's I've been listening to those like throughout the whole year. So
Sentient Ruin. I'm so glad you mentioned them because they are one of my favorite
they're
labels right
great.
now. Just super underground, just noisy, oppressive music. Uh, just quality after quality release. I own quite
Yeah.
a bit of what they put out. So
Yeah. Mattia, who's like an old friend of ours from the Bay Area scene, like has really good taste in music, I feel like. And
yeah.
he obviously like very specific about what he puts out. So it's really
Mhm.
good.
That new Death Grave album is a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
mhm.
Speaking of homies.
Speaking of
Yeah.
homies,
Yeah.
yeah, good shit.
Mhm. Well, we're about running low on time. I have no other questions to send your way, but I do want to give the floor to you. If you have any last thoughts, or think to share, or plugs, please take it away.
Listen to the new record by Body Void, Atrocity Machine.
How does
Oh
that
yeah,
work?
That's
great.
all I gotta say.
Yeah. Well, Willow, Janys, Body Void, thanks again for joining me.
Thank you.
Atrocity Machine from Body Void comes off next week, October 13th, off of Prosthetic Records. Look out for that. Listen
Friday
to it.
the
I've heard it. Yes, I've heard it. It's great. You have my recommendation. And with that thought, my name is Maddie, aka Beaver Mosh, and I am signing off.